Welcome to Arnie's Brain Train, where we explore the pressing issues of our time. Today we delve into the balance between security and civil liberties. Picture this. It's a crisp January morning in 2025, and you're sipping your coffee, scrolling through news on your phone. Seems normal, right? But what you don't know is that every click, every search, every stray thought you type into that little rectangle is being tracked, analyzed, and stored. Not by some shadowy corporation, but by your own government. Welcome to the future of security, where the line between safety and surveillance has become so blurry, it's practically non-existent. Think about it. Your online activity, your location data, even your private conversations could be under constant scrutiny, all in the name of keeping you safe. Buckle up because things are about to get real. Let's be clear. Nobody wants to live in a world where terrorism runs rampant, where fear and chaos dictate our daily lives, or where crime goes unchecked, leaving us vulnerable and constantly looking over our shoulders. We all crave security, that feeling of safety and stability that allows us to sleep soundly at night, knowing our loved ones are protected. And governments around the globe are more than happy to exploit that desire, promising us peace in exchange for a little bit of our freedom. They convince us that sacrificing a little privacy is a small price to pay for peace of mind, a necessary trade-off in these uncertain times. They trot out the same tired arguments. Terrorists use encrypted messaging apps. They communicate in secret, plotting their next move. Criminals operate in the dark corners of the internet, hidden from the eyes of law enforcement, making it harder to catch them. We need these tools to stay one step ahead, to keep you, the good citizens, safe and sound. They say it's all for our protection, and you know what? They're not entirely wrong. There are real threats out there, and we do need to be vigilant. There are legitimate security concerns in the digital age that require new approaches, new tools, and innovative solutions to keep us safe. But here's the catch. When does a scalpel become a sledgehammer? When does targeted surveillance turn into mass data collection? The problem is, the line between targeted surveillance and mass data collection has become increasingly blurred, making it hard to distinguish between the two. It's like trying to put toothpaste back in the tube, an impossible task once the data is out there. Except the toothpaste is your face, your identity, your personal information, and the tube is the NSA, or any other government agency with the power to collect and store your data indefinitely. Imagine a world where every move you make, every word you utter, every website you visit is recorded, analyzed, and stored. Sound far-fetched? Well, strap on your tinfoil hats, folks, because that's the reality we're sleepwalking towards. Governments justify these intrusions into our privacy by claiming they're necessary to prevent terrorism, to catch criminals, to maintain order. But the truth is, this kind of mass surveillance has a chilling effect on all of us. When we know we're being watched, we self-censor. We're less likely to speak out against injustice, to challenge authority, to engage in the kind of dissent that's essential for a healthy democracy. So we're left with a system that erodes our privacy, stifles dissent, and may not even be making us any safer. Section 4. The Watchdogs and the Watched. How surveillance impacts journalists, activists, and whistleblowers. Now, if you're thinking, well, I'm not a terrorist or a criminal, so why should I care? Here's why. Mass surveillance doesn't just impact the bad guys. It disproportionately harms journalists, activists, and whistleblowers, the very people who hold power to account and ensure transparency in a democratic society. Think about it. Journalists rely on confidential sources to expose corruption and wrongdoing. Activists organize protests and movements to challenge injustice. Whistleblowers risk their careers and reputations to bring illegal or unethical behavior to light. These individuals and groups rely on privacy and anonymity to do their work effectively and safely. But in a world of constant surveillance, those protections are stripped away. Section 5. From Orwell to Reality. Case studies and government overreach. Don't for a second think this is just hypothetical fear-mongering. History is littered with examples of governments abusing their surveillance powers, often with disastrous consequences. Remember Edward Snowden? He blew the whistle on the NSA's massive data collection program, which scooped up the phone records of millions of Americans, all without a warrant. Or how about the FBI's COINTELPRO program, which spied on civil rights activists, anti-war protesters, and even musicians, all in the name of national security? These weren't isolated incidents, folks. They're part of a long and troubling pattern of governments overstepping their bounds, justifying their actions in the name of security while trampling on our fundamental freedoms. This is the world we're creating if we don't start asking tough questions and demanding accountability from our leaders. Section 6. Striking a balance. Navigating the tightrope between security and liberty. Now, before you start digging a bunker in your backyard and stocking up on canned goods, let's take a moment to understand the bigger picture. The debate between security and liberty is not a new one. It's a complex issue that has been discussed and debated for centuries, and it continues to be relevant today. Let's be clear, this isn't an argument against all forms of surveillance. Surveillance, when used responsibly, can be a powerful tool for ensuring public safety. It can help prevent crimes, catch criminals, and even save lives. There are legitimate security concerns in the world, and we cannot ignore them. From terrorism to cyber threats, the dangers are real and present. Intelligence agencies play a vital role in keeping us safe. They gather information, analyze threats, and take action to protect us from harm. Their work is crucial, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. But the key is finding the right balance, the delicate equilibrium where security measures do not infringe upon our fundamental freedoms. The sweet spot between security and liberty. It's a challenging task, but it's one that we must strive to achieve. We need to demand transparency and accountability from our governments. They must be open about their surveillance practices and provide clear justifications for their actions. We need to push back against mass surveillance programs that indiscriminately collect data on innocent citizens, and call for targeted approaches that respect our privacy and civil liberties. Surveillance should be focused and justified, not broad and invasive, because the alternative, a world where security trumps freedom, where our every move is watched and recorded, where we sacrifice our liberties on the altar of an illusory sense of safety, is not a world we should accept, is a world I, for one, don't want to live in. We must find a way to protect ourselves without losing what makes us free. Section 7. Your rights, your voice. A call to action for a more secure and free tomorrow. So, what can you do? Well, for starters, don't be a passive consumer of fear. Engage critically with the information you receive. Question the sources and motives behind the news you consume. Don't buy into the narrative that security and liberty are mutually exclusive. They can and should coexist. It's a false dichotomy that we must challenge. Educate yourself about your rights and the ways in which surveillance can erode those rights. Knowledge is power, and understanding the implications of surveillance is the first step toward protecting your freedoms. Support organizations that are fighting for digital privacy and civil liberties. These groups are on the front lines, advocating for policies that protect our freedoms. Contact your elected officials and let them know that you care about these issues. Your voice matters, and politicians need to hear from their constituents. The fight for our digital future is happening right now, folks, and it's not going to be won in some smoky back room in Washington. It's happening in our communities, in our conversations, and in our actions. It's going to be won in the hearts and minds of everyday people like you and me. We have the power to shape the future by standing up for our rights and demanding change. The future is not yet written. Every action we take today will influence the world of tomorrow. So let's choose wisely, my friends. Let's choose a world where we can be both safe and free. Together, we can create a future that honors our values and protects our liberties. Thank you for watching Arnie's Brain Train. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insightful content.